All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MLMP Webcast. I am your host, Texas MAGA Proud, also known as the main infidel Allah warned you about. All right, so as I go through this, the first thing I want to say is for our Christian friends, brothers, sisters, and families in Sri Lanka, we're with you in thought. We're with you in prayer. And whatever you need, we'll be there. What happened today was an utter tragedy that no country should be dealing with. And we've seen through the day many world leaders condemning it. Now we all know, when we've seen some of the tweets coming out, some people were very, very scared to use certain words. The words they were afraid to say were Muslim terrorists, Islamic extremists. They called them Easter worshippers and said that nobody of all faiths should be attacked for their religious beliefs. That boggles my mind. Why are we having to say that? This is 2019, and here we are having to listen to people say nobody should be attacked for their religious beliefs, and yet we're seeing it daily. Countless number of churches are being burned down, being desecrated even within the U.S. And then we see 450 people injured, 207 dead. Women, children, carelessly killed in the name of Allah and in the name of Islam. Now, those like Ilhan Omar will not say that. I fear nobody. I fear no mortal man. So I will say it. I will say to the radical Islamist, don't bring that here. You will not like what happens to you. We dealt with it on 9/11, and I guarantee you, if you thought our fury was bad then, our fury will be twice as worse now. Because now we've got a president that's not scared. He will deploy an army like you have never seen before, and you will crawl back into your caves and wish you were never born. You wish Allah would give you the 72 versions that would turn out to look more like Michael Moore than anything that you would want to see. So for our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka, our thoughts and prayers are with you. So on to tonight's show. Now, this may shock some people, but as people know, my username before I changed it was Adam Pencil Neck Press Schiff. I do not like the guy. I think he's a traitor to the country, and I think he needs to be removed. But I have to agree with him. So, in his rounding of the presses today, he made the comments that this is worse than Watergate. Well, Adam, I have to let you know, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to agree with you. 100% correct. Now, Adam, I've called you many names, but today I need to apologize and call you brilliant. I know this will be shocking to some of the followers I have on Twitter, but Adam is right. He's 100% right. He's 100% right that the mere fact that in 2004 Susan Rice knew the Russians were trying to play around and did nothing is horrible. The mere fact that the previous sitting jackass sat in press conferences saying they can never interfere at all, while he knew that they would. The mere fact that they knew all of this during the election, and that's including you, Adam. You knew this. As a member of the Intelligence Committee, you would have known this. You should have known that the Russians were already involved. And yet, all of you did nothing. So yes, Adam, you're right. It is 100% worse than Watergate, but not against our president. It's against you. It's against Hillary. It's against Eric Swalwell. and any of the other lawmakers that were there. I don't know if Swalwell was there. He's ignorant and important. He's a mind over matter. He doesn't mind, I don't matter. So, Adam, you're 100% right, and I agree with you. 100%, my friend. It's worse than Watergate, and you're guilty. All Trump tried to do was stop a coup against his presidency. He told Jeff Sessions, who was there, protect him, just like I said in my first webcast. Anytime you're a CEO of a business, and Donald Trump, let's face it, is a CEO, if you hear about somebody coming after you, try to shut it down. That's what happens in business. If you don't know that, Adam, try being in the private sector, not a career politician. He simply tried to shut it down, and Jeff Sessions, well, he failed, so guess what? He was gone. So, Adam, this is 100 million% worse, and you're guilty, like I said. Donald Trump will be reelected in 2020, and you'll be sitting there in jail watching Orange is the New Black, hopefully with Barack and Hillary by your side, and maybe even Susan Rice, maybe a few others that people don't know about yet. But I tell you what, Adam, if that happens, I'm going to send you a postcard. I'll do that just for you. So the next topic I really want to talk about, and I'm going to try not to get banned from YouTube for on this one, because it really irritates me. And those were comments made by Maxine Waters. So Maxine Waters sat there and said that she questions anybody's patriotism who supports the president. Now, Maxine, you can call me crazy for supporting Donald Trump. I respect that. You can call me silly for being a conservative. I respect that. You can call me a right-wing nut job that doesn't care about the people of America. At the end of the day, I'll respect that. But the one thing that you will never freaking do is question my patriotism. My dad served in the Air Force. Now, was he someone that went out there and was on the front lines? No. He supported him in the background. My dad was not the most athletic man. But he loved it. And he retired a captain. And when I think about the sacrifices he made being away from the family, I don't think about, man, what an expatriate and how, he did this and that. No. I simply see a great man. I don't see people that at my dad's funeral, when they folded the American flag and handed it to my mom, were sitting there going, what an evil man. When we took the 15-mile ride from the church to the cemetery, there were the Patriots of Texas riding their motorcycles in front of the hearse, with the Texas flag and the U.S. flag and the Air Force flag flying high. I saw cars pull over, people saluting. Nobody saying, what an evil person. And I can tell you, my dad would have supported Trump. He had watched him on TV and he liked him. And sometimes he said it was crazy, but haven't we all? He's not your typical politician that sits there and caves in. He's got his orders in his head, and he's going to carry him out. But my dad would have loved him. And my dad was a patriot. And I love my father dearly. So when you attack someone like that and you say you are going to question people's patriotisms that stand with our president, you, Maxine, can go fly a kite. And I'm going to say that in the nicest way. Because what I really want to do is say things that I will regret later, and I will not do that, especially not on Easter Sunday. But Maxine, don't cross that line again. You have an opponent in 2020. And we are always watching. And if you don't think that we will not come to your town and campaign with this man that is challenging you, be careful what you wish for. I myself have no problem coming out and campaigning for this guy. In fact, I'm going to make sure that his name is out there and everybody knows in your district that you have an opponent. You've spent far too long in Congress screwing the American people and screwing the people in your district. Your time is over and it's time to move on, much like Pelosi, much like Schumer. It's time for you to go. You crossed a line, Maxine, and that's a line that you need to be very, very careful of crossing. You're talking about our military. You're talking about thousands and thousands of union workers. You're talking about the men and women of America and questioning their love for their own country. We're going to make sure, Maxine, much like we're going to make Ilhan remember 9/11, we're going to make you remember your comments. And I'm hoping it costs you your job, because you do not deserve to represent this country anymore, you evil, vile woman. Your time is over. I'm going to back off that one for a minute. I want to touch one that to me is quite funny before I start scrolling through Twitter and just giving some commentary on random things that I'm seeing. The last one is Mr., and I may mispronounce his name, I don't care, he's a moron, Jussie Smollet. So for those that don't remember, and if you don't remember, well, you weren't around. But Jussie was the ignorant fool that decided to fake a hoax and say that two white men wearing MAGA hats were beating him and tying a noose around his neck and pouring bleach on him, all while he held onto his sandwich, never dropping it. All while forgetting that they were actually his friends in masks with white paint to look white. And if you don't remember, State's Attorney Kim Foxx out of nowhere dropped all 16 counts. Now, was 16 counts excessive? You know, at the end of the day, I believe it was. I do believe that the 16 counts was excessive. In all honesty, you only needed one. You only needed one account. Excuse me, one count. And that was lying and obstruction. So to me, why they dropped off 16, I could see dropping 15, maybe 14. And just saying we're going to charge him with 2. But because you had 16 against him and 4 counts against R. Kelly, you were going to destroy the reputation of the Chicago Police Force and your state attorney office by dropping all 16. But the thing that really gets me is that then he comes out and says the whole time that he was innocent and he did nothing wrong. Now, the reason I'm pausing there is I'm trying to remember really, really quickly when I heard of an innocent person doing community service. When I heard that they had their money held on to. So he paid $10,000 and he did, 8 hours of community service at the Rainbow Coalition. And that Jesse Jackson's foundation. Yet nobody screams about that. Yet he was standing up there with her on the podium. So Jussie is now reporting that he's having nightmares. His brother Jojo, Jussie and Jojo. Shame, poor guys. JoJo wrote an article, an op-ed piece. I want to say, I forget if it was for BET magazine or something of that nature, that said that his brother is now experiencing night terrors and waking up from the attack that he was having. Now, JoJo. This is the same JoJo that your brother threw you under the bus when you had a DWI. So I'm really wondering how much he's paying you to say this. And is he telling you, hey, I'm having these night terrors, man, go write this? I'd love to know if he was paid for that article. Would just be curious. Because to me, if you're having night terrors, you'd be in therapy. We haven't heard about him going to any therapy. We haven't heard about him taking any medications. It says that it turned his world upside down. No, you turned your own world upside down. It wasn't a victimless crime, because at the end of the day, you sat there and said about anybody that supported this man, we're against you. Right there. When you attacked MAGA by saying two men in MAGA hats, yelling, "This is MAGA country," attacked you. Now, last time I checked, Chicago was not MAGA country. That doesn't make any sense to me. In a city where there's more gang violence, and I believe even Compton now, that's going to be MAGA country? Poor Jussie. I'm sorry you're having night terrors. Guess what? I'm sure those law enforcement officers that you lied to, that were then embarrassed by the state's attorney, question every day why they should even be police officers anymore because of your ignorant ass going and lying and getting away with it because of who you know and who you are. Now, this has no bearing on the color of your skin, Jussie. None. Could care less. I don't care about your sexuality. Don't care. This has to do with you being a Hollywood elitist with so many pictures of you with the Obamas, and then knowing that a former aide of the Obamas contacted Kim and tried to play games with it. And then Kim comes back and says, just because we can charge it, we shouldn't. Thank you, Jussie. The one thing you did do is you did highlight the corruption. And now as we see people within Kim's office that are bailing on her. That to me is funny. What's not funny is that he's now lying about these night terrors that we know he's not having, trying to get more sympathy. I don't know, maybe he wants another pay increase. But that just rubs me the wrong way. Not as quite as bad as Maxine does, but I will tell you that rubs me a very wrong way. Now I'm going to jump over here to Twitter, and I've got it on my other screen. I'm just going to take a look and see what we've got. You know, okay, so the first tweet that comes up is about San Francisco. And in this segment, I'm merely going to talk about random things on Twitter that I see and just give my 2 cents. Why? As I always tell my kids, why do I do the things I do? Why does a bear shit in the woods? Because he can. And because I can give my 2 cents. Because this is America and I'm allowed to give my opinion on anything that I want. You can either like me or you don't. As I've said many times on Twitter, I am an equal opportunity offender. So now they're talking about in San Francisco, where they're now seeing human feces everywhere. Excuse me. A little tired after a long Easter day. But there's more and more incidents where they're calling them human feces incidents. And they started in 2011, going now to 2018. In 2011, it was at 5,547. And in 2018, it's now at 28,084. And the problem that I really have with it is they're not talking about dogs. They're not talking about rats. They're not talking about gerbils or hamsters or anything else. They're talking about humans. Now, what makes me laugh and cry at the same time is that in the same article it talks about where the city even employs a poop patrol that attempts to keep the streets clean and focuses on the Tenderloin neighborhood. So what I don't get is I believe that's Nancy Pelosi's area. So she can't even keep her own shit clean, and yet she's bossing everybody else around on theirs. Poor Nancy. Life must be rough. What else are we seeing on Twitter today? Bernie Sanders and... so perfect going back to the first part. When I was talking about our Sri Lankan brothers and sisters that had war waged on them today. Hillary, Obama, Bernie, avoid saying Christian or churches. Bernie, Obama, both Michelle and Michael. Barack and Michael. Or is it Barack and Michael Michelle? I don't know. Can never tell with her. And Hillary. Today you had 3 churches. Houses of worship of Christians. I know that's tough for you to say. That were attacked by radical Islamists. Let that sink in. Not by some average schmo walking the streets of Sri Lanka, but by Islamic extremists. Now I know that's tough for you to say because you don't want to lose a vote, but I'm not running for office yet. But if I were to ever run for office, I'd have no problem saying it. Why? Because I'm not scared. I don't run when I know who is on my side. I fear no mortal man. Say the word churches and say the word Muslim extremist. You'll wake up in the morning feeling better than ever. Sure, you may lose some votes, but at least you'll have your pride. I know you don't care about it because you have no soul, but say the words. We've got old Mayor Pete sitting there kissing his boyfriend. Now, I don't care, Pete, about your sexuality. I really don't. My daughter is openly gay. Don't care. She's happier than ever. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. What bothers me, Pete, is that you let yourself be defined by it. You let yourself be defined by being gay. Now, what I find, and as I explained in my first webcast, I don't listen to people. I watch how they carry themselves. And really, does what they do in their daily lives match the words? And what I see from Pete is, hey, I'm gay. Hey, let me go on TMZ. I'm going to play guitar. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm going to say if Trump comes after me with his homophobic slurs. By the way, Pete, he won't. But Pete, what you need to realize is if you think you're going to be a president any day, you need to actually tell people what you stand for. And all we ever hear about is, hey, I'm going to go kiss my boyfriend or my husband on stage, and I'm gay. Vote for me. Yay. That's only going to get you so far, Pete. So let me just scroll through again and see what comes up and I'll talk about. There's the cathedral. And for many people, when they're looking at the cathedral and they look at the fires and they're starting to see, you know, the guys walking through the screen or the guys standing on top, there's those conspiracy theories. I don't think there's anybody in their right mind that truly thinks that it was not arson. And I think we know that. I think we know why there was no fire department that didn't show up for, 2 hours or so. You're talking about one of the largest cities in the world, and your fire department is not able to get there quicker. I think they're scared. Again, because they're being overrun by Islamists. They're scared. Now let me say this. Because I do work a regular job and there are things I may say on here that offend people. Could cost me my job. So when I talk about Muslims and Islam, let me be very, very clear on this. There's a huge difference, and a lot of people do clump them together, right? Just like white people are clumped together, black people, Asians, etc., with all of our stereotypes. Islamists actually are another group that are lumped all together. I work with many people from India, and they study the Quran. They go to their mosques sometimes during the day at work, and they come back and they work. But the biggest difference is that these people have come into America and adapted to our culture. When they're teaching us about things, they're not teaching us to be saying you need to do this. I have never once had a single person in my office come up to me and say, you need to do this or you're going to die. I've never gone to one of them and said, hey, you need to get out of here. A lot of them come in with jeans and polo t-shirts. Some women wear the hijab, some don't. In fact, when we had an actual Indian Heritage Day, one lady came in the full Indian dress. No hijab, but full Indian dress, and we went and learned about their culture. And you know what? Amazing people. Amazing culture. Full of love. Very smart. Why? Because they put schooling and education first over entertainment. Not about hate. So we do need to be careful as supporters of our president and fighting for Christianity that we don't lump them all together, because just like they lump all of us conservatives together with the right wing, and we do with the left wing, and as people do with whites and blacks and Asians and Hispanics, everybody around the world are all lumped together in their little groups. This is one that we need to be careful of, because there are very peaceful people that are not the Islamic extremists, that are not the Muslim extremists, but they are truly people of peace. I have many of friends that I would gladly, as I have said in a Twitter post, I would gladly give my life for as an American. For them, just as I would my family. Those people are that close to me. And never once do I worry about them. Not once. So we do need to be careful in that aspect. I love my Indian friends very, very much. The ones from your Pakistan. Those sometimes are questionable. But again, I look at the person. So that's all I'll say about that. The last thing I want to touch on is Mr. De Niro. Now, Robert De Niro, and I apologize, we do have a young baby downstairs who is just over a month old. So she is going through that eating and spitting up phase. So I apologize for the interruption there. But Mr. De Niro had the cojones. Now you can call our president a loser. You know what? He's entitled to his opinion. That I don't care about. But then he made a threat. And he said, Republicans, we will not forget. Now, Robert, Wasn't your last movie with Anne Hathaway? Did you forget how to get your tough guy gangster roles? Or did they just not want you? And then we see you on that Kia car commercial. Kia. How's that career going there for you, Robert? Guess what? You may not forget about us, but we've already forgotten about you. And we've forgotten about your crappy career. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Easter Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday morning, and we all start this again. So I'm going to end this podcast with simply saying, wherever you are, wherever you may be, when you wake up in the morning, it's a better day because we've got a president that truly cares. And we have each other. We have the MAGA nation. And we will fight for 2020, 2024, and beyond. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you on the next cast. Thank you, and good night.